Okay.
What?
Like
That makes sense.
Someone
Gus,
should
you
wear the
wear 'em if you want
headphones.
to. Gus, do you want these headphones?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. Then,
I
then that's not a problem.
I can't wear Sony headphones.
What?
My head's too big.
They have tiny little Asian headphones.
little Japanese headphones.
Insane.
So where we're sitting right now used to be the Austin airport.
Yes.
The Robert Mueller airport.
Did you ever fly into this
No,
airport?
I only picked someone up here once.
Yeah.
What about you? Did you ever fly out again?
Yeah. When I was stationed I was in the Army in Fort Hood, and very tiny regional airport there. So oftentimes we would fly into Austin and then take a little plane from Austin to Killeen. We should probably introduce this podcast. So this is, I guess, the first episode. Eric called it a test, but we did a test. We did 2 tests already over a year ago at this point.
Yeah.
About exactly a year ago.
December 2020? Yeah.
Yeah. And then so, take a year off to digest.
Think about it.
Think about it, and then tackle it again. My name is Jeff Ramsey. You are Gustavo Cirola, and you are Eric Bedour. And we work for a company called Rooster Teeth. We make a lot of podcasts.
For the record, I'm Gustavo Cirola.
You are. He's Eric Bedour. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Because people don't know if they're listening.
Oh, I see. Yeah, you're attaching the voice to the title.
Name, yeah.
So we work for an entertainment company. We do a lot of different shit. This is, I think, all of our 3rd or 4th podcast. This might be the most premise-heavy podcast I've ever been a part of. There are like 72 different reasons I want to do this. 1, coming out of the pandemic, finally, after 2 years.
It's over.
Austin, well, no,
Only 60,000 people died last month.
Starting to emerge. As Omicron the wave dies down, we're starting to emerge, and I'm starting to go out again.
He just started testing negative again, so it's over.
Yeah, I made it 2 years through the pandemic, and then I got COVID and tested positive for 13 fucking days. And so now I'm finally able to go out into the world. And there are 1 million coffee shops in Austin. Our little city has exploded.
Little city? That was a coffee shop.
Shit, that was a coffee shop. They had all the
Congress,
books on the wall,
like
yeah.
11th and Congress?
I think they still have some sort of presence, too. But
Do they?
in Austin, yeah. So anyway, I was paralyzed by coffee shop options. And that reminded me of a conversation that you and I had. We've been working together now for about 25 years. I've known you for over half my life. I was thinking about that yesterday.
That's scary.
And I guess we've been working together longer than 25 years if you count the day job that spawned our career.
That started in 23 years.
I started in 98 at that place.
You started, you started like December 98.
December 98.
Yeah, that's right.
And so we've been working together pretty much every day since then. One of our early ideas before we started the company Rooster Teeth was we wanted to create something called the Drunk Army. Do you remember this?
Yes.
We wanted to go get a drink in every bar in Austin and then review them.
We bought a website for it.
We bought a website for it.
Do I still pay for that?
You might.
If you do, we need to use it for this show.
Yeah.
Well, no, because it doesn't apply anymore.
Well, it really doesn't apply anymore because at some point I became a crippling alcoholic and then got sober. So I haven't had a drink in almost 5 years next month. So I had to pivot away from that. There was also a period in time we wanted to do the same thing, but with hamburgers. Like we used to get into a lot of fights about who had the best burger in Austin.
Hilbert's.
And so, really?
Yeah.
I like Hilbert's. I don't think it's the
Hilbert's
best.
great.
Well, all right. So,
You don't have a place.
I mean, I haven't sat down to think about it right
Me
now.
neither. Off the top of my head, I know.
Off the top of my head, top notch is better.
Whoa. Bold.
Okay. All right. Fine. Gus, you and I have been what I would consider to be best friends for over 20 years now.
Yeah, long time.
I don't ever speak to you anymore. We don't ever talk. We never communicate. And I realized I am only, at this point in my life, at 46, I'm only able to maintain personal relationships through podcasting.
Okay.
Like, my other best friend is Gavin. We have a podcast together. It is the only time we communicate throughout the week. Then I have our other very close friend of ours, Jack. I have a podcast with him. It is the only time I communicate with Jack.
So you got to make podcasts.
So if I want to maintain a relationship with you, it has to be through a microphone.
That is the most, modern day problem I've ever heard.
Yeah, for real. I've turned into a hermit. I've turned into what you always described to me.
If Seinfeld was on the air right now, that would be like Kramer's thing.
Yeah.
He would only talk. No, actually more of a George thing. George could only talk to people if they showed up to be a guest on his podcast.
Yeah, George is more of an opportunist that way. Also, I have a question for you. You mentioned this is a man-made lake. How did ducks work?
Could be woman-made.
Oh, what? How did ducks work? Did you just build a man-made lake and the
they
ducks show up? Or are those imported ducks?
I assume they just show up.
Yeah, I think ducks
So
are
do you
just
think
kind of
there's just
everywhere.
Yeah.
ducks hanging out waiting for lakes to be built,
they're
and
at-
then they just like call their duck buddies, and they're like,
at another lake, like in Ohio or something, and they're like, "Hey, we hear there's a new lake in Austin."
Yeah,
and it's way cheaper.
Yeah, then the old ducks are here, and they go, "We can't retire in Austin. We have to go somewhere else." So
Right.
that way, new ducks
So
can move in.
ducks work much the same way humans do.
I believe so.
Okay.
Much more accelerated timeline, though.
I just figured, I don't know if you go to like Callahan's and buy a bunch of ducks and throw them out there.
No,
or-
they just show up. They're everywhere. They're endemic, much like COVID.
I mean, you make it sound like there's ducks just like waiting in the woods.
Yeah. You don't see them because there's no lake or any place for them. If you go to like if there was another lake anywhere around here, you go to it, there's ducks at it.
I don't know. I'd be interested to see how maybe somebody who was involved in the construction of Mueller or this lake could tell us
How much did you pay
long
for
did
ducks?
it take? How long did it take for the first duck to show? Was he by himself or her? Did they come in pairs?
I think what they have to do is they build the lake and then they have to stock it with fish. That's the part they have to import. The fish can't get
so
here
the
on
fish
their own.
don't just come here on
Right.
their own. Yeah.
So they've got to fill it with fish, and then once the fish get here, wildlife grows, and then the ducks show up to eat everything and shit all over the place.
You say the shit part, but I don't see any duck shit anywhere.
They actually keep it pretty close because they don't come over here. That one over there, he's a little uppity.
He said,
He's not having a good time.
I learned how to drink coffee in the Army to stay warm, and coffee to me is very utilitarian, and I have pretty plain taste anyway, so I just have black cold coffee.
And Tom Ford sunglasses.
And what?
Tom Ford sunglasses.
Well,
very,
like,
very plain taste.
real
Very
utilitarian.
Salt of the
Well,
earth.
listen. My girlfriend bought me those. I didn't buy these sunglasses. They were a Christmas present. What am I gonna do? Somebody buys me fancy sunglasses. You think I gotta wear them, right?
Just saying. I'm
one of you.
just saying.
I'm just like you. I'm a plain dude. Let me see what time it is. Oh, yeah. But this was in the early days when we were kind of taken off and we were in vogue, as it were. We were like a new oddity in the entertainment world. And so we were getting a lot of press, New York Times, Wall Street Journal. People would come and interview us
Fucking Wall Street Journal.
for fucking Wall Street Journal. Don't even get me started on that one.
Goddamn.
The goddamn writer of the Wall Street Journal article, who was really fucking nice, and I really liked the dude, and he was
Yeah.
a really good listener, and we took him to Salt Lick, and we had a great day with
He
him.
hung out with us for like 3 days or something.
Days, and I felt like a connection with him, right? This fucking guy. Sorry, this is an aside. And then when the article comes out a month later, and there's all these sentences, this exposition where he's like, Ramsey stands on the balcony of the office and takes a slow drag of his cigarette. I never smoked a cigarette in my life.
At least you were in the article.
And also, Gus was
I
completely.
picked him up at the airport.
Gus was
I drove the guy
completely-
down to Buda. I'm not even mentioned in the article.
Completely omitted from the article.
There were only 4 of us.
His family thought he was lying about being in Rooster Teeth when it came out.
It's not like there was a huge cavalcade of characters.
Jason was in it more than you.
Good grief. I sometimes try to remember when we first met, Eric. I try to place
Jesus.
it down, and it's like I feel like you're like COVID. You're just endemic. You've always been there.
When did we meet? That's a great question.
Probably at a PAX.
Yeah,
I would think
2004
either
or
a
5?
PAX or a Comic Con.
It wouldn't have been 4.
It would have been. It probably would have been 2000. God, probably 2005.
Yeah.
Something like that. And then it was like, but that's where I came from, Mega 64, and that was just us being booth neighbors one time, and then going, we should do this every time.
Yeah.
To Bernie, who since retired, to his detriment, I was there at every convention that he was at. I'm glad it worked out.
Now I won't make a podcast without you, except for one.
We had to hire him in secret. Did you know that?
Oh,
No,
yeah.
I didn't
Yep.
know that.
Yep.
Why?
Patrick Salazar and I had to work under the table to keep the process out of Bernie's sight.
Yep.
Oh.
So we had to work to get him
Was
to
he an
interview.
impediment? Was Bernie an impediment to you? Does he hate you?
Hate it.
So we had to
Hated
like
me.
try to figure out how to interview and get all the paperwork and everything done without. And Bernie had his hands like he wasn't the CEO or anything, but he was just very
Tentacles.
aware of everything happening
Yeah.
in the company. He knew everything, so we had to like very quietly get everything started. And Bernie didn't find out until Eric's first day when
On
he's in the
podcast.
studio.
On the podcast that you guys were on, and that was my introduction, and he saw me and went, "What are you doing here?" And
He's like, I'm the producer for this. show.
and I went, "I work here," and he went, "What?" And that's when he found out. I mean, it's no secret, he hated me, and it was from all the conventions and everything, because
Yeah.
it's just all constant. It's
We were all on all the time.
time. But
Yeah.
for me, I think it was just that thing where I'm in that sweet spot where I just fucking needled him. We should probably.
Yeah.
put a bow on it and wrap up. What did you want to call this?
Dude, by the way, that was good producing you just did.
Oh,
very
yeah.
much.
We
I
produced
can
the
see
shit
why.
out of it.
I can see why Bernie. You won Bernie over.
Yeah.
Here's my idea for what we should call it.
Okay.
I think we should call it "Good Morning, Gus."
No.
I knew you'd hate it.
No. I don't want my
I just need you to like.
I don't want my name in it. I don't want my
Good
name
morning, Gus.
I don't want my name in the title.
Why? It has to be something with Gus and Jeff. Like, there's no like.
Good news, Ratman.
That's a different thing.
That's a different thing. It sounds good. It's fun to say, "Good morning, Gus," and you're not a morning person, and I am, so I love it.
I kind of am more now than I used to be.
Okay.
It's part of getting old.
Yeah, well.
No. Let's not call it that.
Well, I guess we'll figure out a name because this was a test, but it'll probably be released as an episode.
Oh, this is definitely episode 1 of Good Morning, Gus.
I didn't come out here to record something that we're not releasing.
Yeah, listen, we did our tests last year.
Okay. Well, we did it. Anything you want people to know? I mean, what do you think? Final thoughts on Halcyon Coffee?
7 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah,
Not,
it's
not bad, but not the best.
fucking. I wouldn't seek it out, but I wouldn't. It's fine.
It's
fine.
It's close.
It's close. It's convenient. It's
Yeah.
fine. It's good. Don't not go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also don't go out of your way. That's how
there's
it
better.
feels to me.
There's probably better coffee. Where are we going to go next? Can we pick now so we can give the audience something to look forward
Yeah,
to?
if you want to.
Where should it be?
Yeah, I mean, the flight path is close.
I think it's a great opportunity to build social engagement, to ask people
Where we should go?
where we should go.
Okay,
on
so we'll
social
leave it
media.
up to the audience.
Ask a lot of people who aren't from here, don't live here, where we should just
Yeah.
do a poll and see what they
just
pick.
Google coffee shops in Austin and tell us which one you want us to go to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look at photos online.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
You can follow us at, and then it's the name of the show.
Good morning, Gus.
Okay.
I'm registering that right now so you don't get it.
That'll do it. You want to say goodbye?
Goodbye, Jeff.
Goodbye,
How's
Gus.
that?
Oh, how about what were we going to call it last time? Mind your own business.
That's a good one.
That's a good
All right,
one.
it's either Good Morning, Gus or Mind Your Own
like Mind
Business.
Your Own
I would mind your own business with Gus and Jeff. I think
Yeah, there
it's
you go.
good.
I got these glasses because of a TV show that I liked. Have you ever seen *Halt and Catch Fire*?
Are we starting?
Yeah, this is the podcast.
Okay. Well, first off, let me just say, good morning, Gus.
And an ANMA to you, Jeff.
I know that's not the name of our podcast officially, but it doesn't. You can't stop me from saying hello.
No, I can't stop you. You ever watch *Halt and Catch Fire*?
I didn't, but you and Bernie both told me desperately that I needed to watch
It's a great show. I think it's only like 3 or 4 seasons. Not very long at all. It was on AMC. One of the main characters is a character named Joe McMillan. He's played by Lee Pace, who's a phenomenal actor. And I think in the 3rd or 4th season, he gets glasses like these. And my wife turned to me and was like, "You need glasses like that." And she scoured the internet and found the glasses that he wore in the show and bought me those glasses.
Now, do you think it's because your wife is super attracted to that dude and
Listen.
she wants to dream bang him while she's sleeping with you?
That's good company. Lee Pace is a good looking dude.
No, yeah, I'm not complaining. I mean, I'd be into him, sure. I'm really into. Well, I don't know if it's continuing, but I really liked Killing Eve, so I think I had like an AMC Plus or something to
Well,
watch it.
Killing Eve's on BBC America.
But it plays on the AMC app. Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense. They have their own network. They have their own
I watched
app.
it on the AMC app.
No, I believe you. I'm just saying, from their sense and from their perspective, it makes no sense.
Well, yeah, but it aired on AMC on TV in America.
Did you? No, it aired on BBC America.
I'm pretty sure it aired on AMC.
Dude,
as
I
well.
fucking watch Killing Eve. It airs on BBC America.
Do you like Killing Eve?
I love Killing Eve.
It's a great show.
I've been talking about Killing Eve since season 1. That's a great show, and that's why I know it airs on BBC America. That's the only reason I have BBC America in my favorites on my TV.
It is BBC America.
I know it is. There's no question about that. It definitely airs on BBC America.
Just trying to back you up, my man.
Thank you.
It's also on AMC.
I said again, like I said, I don't doubt that it's on AMC streaming, but it airs on TV on BBC America.
Let me ask you this.
First run new episodes when they air, it's on BBC America.
Let me ask you this.
Would you say Bob's Burgers runs on FXX because it shows reruns there?
I don't know.
It's a Fox show.
I don't have AMC America. Let me ask you this.
AMC America.
Let me ask you this.
American Movie Channel America?
I don't have
That's
BBC,
a really weird name.
I don't have BBC America.
We
Let me
have a
ask you this.
podcast called ANMA.
Let me ask you this. Can I watch *Halt and Catch Fire* on BBC America?
No, yeah.
Fuck off!
It's on Netflix.
So I can
And
watch
it-
them both on AMC?
On AMC, yeah, you can watch AMC.
All right, thanks.
I don't know if it's on the app. I know it's on Netflix.
Oh my god.
This is good coffee.
We're recording in the studio because we're rained out, even though it's not raining today.
It's raining right now.
It's not raining at all.
It's drizzly.
No,
it's
it's
cold
not.
and wet.
No.
We'd have to sit on a park
No.
bench. It would be cold
It
and
rained-
wet.
it rained yesterday.
No, it's raining today.
Nope.
It's raining and cold
It is
and
definitely
wet.
not.
Because then we would be sitting in a park bench, and then you'd be going, "I'm all wet," and then also we have recording equipment. So
But that we're not using.
we are using it. We're using it right now.
We're using the mobile equipment. Like we're in a podcast recording studio that has a bank of recording equipment, and we're not using it. We plugged in the mobile thing that we would be using if we were sitting out at a park bench anyway.
So we can have it. So we can have it sound the same. So we can have it go.
But
through
these aren't the same
equipment.
microphones we used last time. The same
I know,
microphones we used last time
it's
are
the
right
same
here,
going forward.
but
No,
we're using
it's
a
so it's
different
the same
microphone than
going
we did
forward.
last time.
It's so this makes sense. It's the same going forward.
I was thinking a couple months ago, Gus and I started this company together 19 years ago, but we don't do any content together. Why is that? And now I remember. God damn. Have you ever seen what Gus does to a laptop?
No, you have acid sweat.
It doesn't happen so much anymore with these new MacBook Pros, but back in the day, like
metals.
in 2008, 2009, I used to play a lot of World of Warcraft on my Mac laptop. And I would play so much that the sweat from my palms would eat through the metal on the palm rest of the laptop.
Dude, he's not kidding.
Like, there would be pock marks all in the metal from the sweat in my hands eating through the metal on the laptop. And like, I got to the point where it would get so pocked with holes that I'd have to buy like a palm rest sticker cover to put over it because there were so many holes in my laptop.
He is not exaggerating. Gus is the weakest mutant in the Marvel Universe.
Yep.
He's minor acid hands.
You know in Shawshank how he's got the little rock hammer and he like hammers out the wall? I would just be holding the bars every night for 8 hours a night, slowly dissolving my way out. I'd love every one of my names.
That's
Gustavo
awesome.
Raul Sorolla, fucking great name.
I love
love
every
it.
one of
It's
my
a great
names
name.
too.
I think a lot of people don't like their names, so it's good that you like your name. You like your name so much you changed it.
Yeah, no, I like my name now,
Yeah.
right? I don't want to get into this, but I was born. I've through no fault of my own, had my name changed a lot in my life. But I am currently Jeff Laser Ramsey and Jeffrey Laser Ramsey with a G, and I think
And
that's a
with a
great
Z.
name. And with a Z, you got to do it with a Z.
I'll never forget after you went and you changed your name, you're like, you told me, you changed your name to Jeffrey Ramsey, and that since you were changing your name, they allowed you to change your middle name
To whatever. I
for
want.
what? Like it was no additional cost. You could
Yeah, it
change
was
your
like
middle name, too.
$170 either way.
And you were so happy you changed it to Laser, and I was like, I looked at it. You gave me the piece of paper. I was like, that's not how you spell laser, right?
So here's the real story.
Oh, cool.
I don't know that I've ever told the real story about how I changed my name to Laser. All of that is correct. I told people I picked Laser and I picked it with a Z because I wanted to be an American Gladiator, and I was like channeling that. I just spelled it wrong. I didn't know Laser was spelled with an S.
Yeah, I knew that part because I was there when I'm the one who told you.
Yeah, but nobody else. You're the only person that knew the real truth. Yeah, the Z was I'm just a fucking idiot.
Oh God.
So the name of the podcast you determined is going to be the ANMA podcast.
ANMA.
ANMA. And I don't know what it means. You said you had it in a dream.
Yeah.
But then you told me there is a real definition for it, which I want to get into because I have two. I've been thinking myself.
So I really did have a dream, like you said in the first episode, which you listened to just last week, dear audience. We talked about the name, and I think that it infected my subconscious, and I think I was really stressed about trying to come up with a name for this podcast. And I think I was thinking about it so much that I started dreaming about it. And in my dream, the podcast was already out. Like we'd been doing it for a while. Mm-hmm. And like I just saw it typed out. I just saw the name of our podcast. And like we weren't saying it, but it was on a piece of paper or like on a computer screen. Like there was marketing material for it. And it was the ANMA podcast. And that's all I told you. But in my dream, I did know what that stood for.
Okay.
And there was a reason it was called that. That part I didn't tell you until now because we already have a logo. Like we can't change it.
Can I guess?
Yeah, but
This
I will put an asterisk on it.
Okay.
Dreams don't make sense.
Okay.
So like you're trying to come up with a rational thing that it means. Dreams are gibberish most of the time.
That's true. Here's my two guesses. All right, ANMA. It's an Austin podcast, essentially. It's a podcast about friendship and about us.
Yes.
Right? Austin never mattered anyway.
Oh, that's good.
That's great.
That's really good.
Or, this may be more appropriate considering the state of Austin in 2022, Austin, no more Austin.
I like what you're doing here. Now I don't want to say what it was in my dream because I want people who listen to this podcast to come up with what ANMA means for them.
My small wife said a name means anything.
Oh, that's also good.
A name means anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I just keep saying ANMA, and then people say, "What does it mean?" And I go, "Listen."
It's whatever.
That's sort of it.
Yeah, a
I
name
like
means
that. A
anything. It
name
doesn't
means
matter.
anything.
Yeah.
I like that
Austin,
a
no
lot.
more Austin. Austin never mattered anyway.
So are you going to keep it secret?
Well, I was going to say it right now, but now I don't want to.
You know
because
what?
want,
I don't.
the listeners
as
to
much as I
guess.
want to know, and I want to find out on mic, I don't want to know because I want the audience to take a step.
Let's wait. We'll wait a little
At least
bit.
a week. Yeah. For me to get the full Army College Fund benefits, because I grew up a poor kid in Alabama with bad grades. I was not going to college. This was my route to college.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to be combat arms. I knew that wasn't for me. So I chose journalism and photojournalism. They required you to go 5 years to get the same benefits. So I had to go in for 5 years. So I got out in 98, moved to Austin, whole other deal. Then I found out shortly after, they may tell you differently. Maybe it's different now. They don't tell you when you join the Army, or at least in the 90s, they didn't tell you join the Army, that no matter how much you're signing up for, whether it's 2 years combat arms, 5 years as a journalist, 4 years as a cook, whatever it is, you're actually signing up to the military for 8 years. You're committed for 8 years. It's a bait and switch. They don't tell you that, right? So when you get out of the Army after your 5 years, after my 5 years, I found out that I was still in the military technically for 3 more years in what's called the inactive reserves.
Oh my God.
I had no idea, which means if there's a war, they can call you back. So while I was working at our day job, Telenetwork,
We worked at a call center.
We were doing the beginnings of Rooster Teeth at that point. I think we were doing Drunk Gamers maybe, or
We were
Ugly
Ugly
Internet,
at that time,
those
yeah.
things. I was still in the fucking military, and I didn't realize it. 9/11 happened. Gus and I were at work together. We watched it. We were working that day. We watched it on the TV at work. I realized that day, I'm still in the fucking Army. I'm going to go to Iraq. They're going to call me back. We're going to war.
God.
I was terrified. I went home that day, and in my mailbox was a letter from the United States military, a big envelope from the United States military. And I thought, how the fuck did they get to me this quickly? Like, it just happened today.
Oh my God.
I've never been so scared to open an envelope in my entire life. And when I opened that envelope, there was this thing called a DD-214, which is your official discharge from the military.
Holy shit.
I was officially discharged from the military on 9/11.
What?
Yeah, insane.
This is such a weird coincidence.
Insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is that? Is that the wrap up or is that the keep going?
This is an audio podcast. I'm doing this so it's quiet. No, it's we're getting right to an hour. That felt like a great way to cap it.
What the difference between like this or this? Like wrap up or keep going.
When you do like this,
it's an audio podcast.
you know what this is? This is Blues Brothers. Orange Whip. Orange Whip.
You're twirling your finger in the air. I'm not sure which way to
It's
go.
an audio podcast. No one can see what you're doing with your fingers. You can see
They
what
can
I'm
imagine
That's
doing.
why Gus described it, so the audience can be along for the ride.
Not-
you're
no,
whipping your
no,
finger
he
around.
just kept saying you're doing this or this.
Was
You
like which
can't see-
direction do you flip your finger? Do
Orange
you point up or do you point side like someone's crazy?
Are you ordering a round of drinks or are you loco?
Okay, I'm saying we should wrap it up. We're good.
I'm just looking.
Oh, I thought you were looking at this.
No, I'm just looking at it.
Oh, okay.
It's a cool little recorder.
He's producing the producer right now.
Executive producing.
But there you go.
No, if you were executive producing, you'd be on a beach somewhere.
Associate
Mai
producer.
Tais, yeah.
However you want to start it, it starts now.
So this morning.
Well, hold on.
What?
Good morning, Gus.
Thank you, Jeff. Good morning,
Thank
Jeff. So this morning we decided to get coffee from Flight Path, which is a coffee shop close to our studio, and it's called Flight Path because it used to be close to the airport, which we covered in episode 1.
We did, yes.
But it's now no longer anywhere near the airport, but it's still called Flight Path.
Yeah. It's kind of how like the LA Lakers are called the Lakers.
I never thought about that.
Yeah. But
The Utah
they
Jazz.
used to be in Minnesota. Yeah. Or Utah Jazz is a good one.
Do you want to tell or should we tell the story about when the? Well, there's two stories I want to tell here. There's the story about the guy who hired himself.
Yeah.
And then
we got to tell that
There's
story.
the story about the attempted midnight robbery.
Yeah. Well, we could also talk about Jason and his interactions with the company. I feel like we could do an entire podcast just in stories about this call center. Now that I think about it.
So there was when I started in February '98, the call center was still really small. A typical shift might be 3 or 4 people. By the time Jeff came on, there had been a renovation and expansion. I don't know specifically what a shift was when you started. It was probably like 20 people.
Yeah. No, it was like 12.
It was 12?
About 12 people. And the company had about 60
Yeah.
when I got hired.
And then,
They've got like 1,500 now, by the way.
Yeah, it's huge. They're a massive company now.
It remains to be seen. Jury's still out on whether Gus and I made the right decision when we rolled the dice and left the company.
You might have blown it by starting Rooster Teeth.
He's not joking.
I'm not joking.
Yeah. I was like, a low double-digit employee over there, you know?
Yeah.
You know, like as far as like hire date, and then it's undergone crazy expansion. But by the time, you know, Jeff was also, we were both managers. There was the shifts had grown quite a bit. There was,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of turnover in that business. You know, we hire at the time we hired a lot of college students, show up, work for a while, quit, no big deal, right? That's circle of life. We tried
Yeah.
to make the job as easy as possible so that even if someone had no tech knowledge, they could come in and very quickly get up to speed and start taking calls. But because of this rapid turnover, sometimes there was poor communication on the management side. Sometimes
Yeah.
employees would show up for their first day, be like, "Oh, well, I don't have your paperwork. I don't know. Well, let's get you started in the system." And you get them going. One day, this dude showed up. It was like, "Hey, I'm here for training." Neither of us was working on this day. It was another manager was working. And was like, "Oh, well, I don't have any of your hire date or your paperwork." It's like, "Well, let's just get you started in training and everything." Started the training, started him taking calls, and it wasn't until the next payroll was getting run that I think it was Bernie
Yeah.
who was like running the payroll. It's like, "Hey, who is this guy? He's not in the system. We can't pay him because we don't have any of his information."
So then they had to retroactively put it in, and then later, he admitted that he just showed up and said he'd been hired and said he was here for day one of training, and Brian
caught
was
it.
the manager, didn't catch it, and so he hired himself,
Yeah.
and he promoted himself to level 2,
Yeah.
same way.
He was a good employee.
He also
Here comes the crazy
here
twist.
comes the crazy twist. He also played Donut in Red vs. Blue. What? Dan Godwin.
That's how we met Dan.
That's how we met Dan Godwin.
Was he hired himself at the call center? And we were
Yeah.
like, "Oh, that guy's a go-getter."
This is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many weird stories like that with that call center, and that people we know still to this day, and that we've worked with for a long time. Did you ever work with Robert?
Which Robert are we talking about?
Again, we need to
Bleep this name.
the last name.
Are we talking?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was not a great employee.
Great guy to drink with.
Great guy to drink with.
Maybe the best drinking buddy we've ever had.
He was not a bad employee, but he wasn't like a phenomenal employee.
Very smart.
Incredibly smart guy. But he would show up to work in the morning, you know, hungover, usually. Big drinker. We hung out with the guy all the time at night. But he would show up to work hungover in the morning, and you picture like a cubicle farm. That's where we were all sitting for our taking our calls. Here comes a trash truck, by the way.
Yeah.
Little audio texture. He wouldn't sit at the
It's maybe too much texture for a second.
he wouldn't sit at the cubicle. He would sit under it. And like he was on the floor under the cubicle, and the only way you knew Robert was there working is every now and then his hand would come out
And
to hit the phone to answer it whenever it was ringing, and there was just like a headset dangling under the cubicle onto the floor.
That's awesome.
I remember like one of the managers one day going over to him and going, "Hey, Robert, I'm going to need you to sit in your chair." And he goes, "I'll get you tomorrow, man."
I learned how to make web servers. And I learned how to host web servers, and I learned the very technical side of that. So then I was like, well, I want to make content, but I don't know how to, like, I knew how to very fundamentally make websites. I know why you're laughing. I could make very rudimentary websites, but I needed someone to work with to help me with that. And Jeff knew how to make websites as well. So I was like, we can make websites together, and we can make funny stuff on the internet.
Yeah.
And why are you laughing, Jeff?
I'm laughing because in the process of this, Gus showed me the first website
No,
he'd ever
you
made.
found it on your own.
I found it. He told me about it. He told me it doesn't exist anymore, but I could tell it did, and so I tracked it down. It was a website Gus learned how to make, I think in math camp or something.
It was at math camp. I used to go to math camp every summer.
And it was like the official, like the unofficial. Gus grew up in Eagle Pass, Texas,
Middle of nowhere. Like
Middle of
closest
nowhere,
town is
border
San Antonio,
town.
which is like a 3-hour drive.
right across the border from Piedras Negras.
Yes.
Which I think is where they made nachos first or something.
Yeah, the nacho was invented there.
Yeah. And he took me to the restaurant where they invented the nachos.
That
and told me the whole
restaurant's
story.
closed. It doesn't exist anymore.
Oh.
You're lucky you got to go there.
That sucks. Well, I'm glad I got to go. Anyway, so I find this website that he made in high school, and it's called, it's Gus's like unofficial Eagle Pass, welcome to Eagle Pass website. And it's literally, he goes, "Hey, my name's Gus. Take a ride on the Gus bus and let me show you Eagle Pass."
He's doing a voice. There was no voice on this website. And there was a picture of like a VW bus. Remember that? It was like this blue VW bus. And there was like a whole page devoted to the Blue Oyster Cult.
It was the Eagle Pass and Blue Oyster Cult fan site.
Because my pedophile computer science teacher was a Blue Oyster Cult fan, and I was like, "Oh, Blue Oyster Cult's pretty cool."
So I show that to Gus. He's horrified. it spreads like wildfire through the office, right, through the tech company. And then within a day, he got it taken down. He had to track down his high school teacher.
The problem was, it was like a math camp. I didn't remember how to log into that server. I had to like find the people who administered that computer network down at Texas State. It was Southwest Texas back then, and have them take that website offline. Should we talk about the garage sale games we came up with? I don't want like people to take this in a bad direction. We never did these because they were a little too evil.
Or if we did them, we're not acknowledging that we did them.
Yeah.
But because I was going to say we should roll into Ugly Internet and where we started. But that's probably a conversation that's probably a whole episode.
That's a whole other one.
So let's stick with garage sales.
So, again, late 90s, early 2000s, garage sales got advertised in newspapers or like little yard signs. You put a sign up, garage sale, pointing in this direction.
Or news groups.
News groups, yeah. So we came up with almost like guerrilla-style garage sales we wanted to make. Or we wanted, I don't know what you would call it. I think guerrilla-style garage sale might be the best descriptor.
Performance art. We called one surprise garage sale, where we would advertise a garage sale at an address and not tell the people there, and then set it for 7 a.m., and then we would show up and set up a garage sale in their front yard at 7 a.m. and start selling stuff until they came and kicked us out. We had another one we called the Grand Prix, where we would set up garage sale signs that said garage sale this way, and it would keep pointing you, but it pointed you in a big circle around the block, and the goal was to see how many times you could make people do laps and who could get the fastest lap time. And I'm for a garage sale that doesn't exist. I'm not saying we did that one, but if we had, it worked very well. I'll just say that.
We also had reverse garage sale, where you would show up with your own stuff you were trying to sell at someone's garage sale, and you would try to sell them something you brought to them.
Yeah.
So it's like they're trying to sell all their shit, but you bring your stuff there and try to sell it to them.
Can we take guesses at what ANMA means again?
Oh, right.
You're doing excellent producing.
I do have. I'm trying. I have to do good one time, at least once.
You did a lot of good today.
I think, and this is a guess from my wife as well. A new meat alternative.
Oh.
Leaning on the vegan guess.
Yeah, I do like eating plant-based stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I shot my wad last week. I don't know.
You gotta think. Just think. What's A?
Apples.
Okay. An N.
Apple.
Need.
Uh-huh.
Microaggressions. Apples need microaggressions.
They do. They get real uppity.
Now here's the thing. I like my guess, but we know that Gus's actual name is Dream Logic.
Yes.
So I feel like your guess is a lot closer.
It's just like, I love dreams because your brain's just like laying the track in front of you. Like it's building it as you're looking around like, oh no, oh God, what does that mean?
Are either of us on the money with the name?
No, unfortunately not.
Okay.
Out of all the guesses so far, have we nailed one of the words yet?
No.
Okay.
Jesus. This is like the most complicated day of Wordle ever.
Yeah, really, it's tough. But if you want to make a guess, you can tweet at us at ANMA Podcast.
When am I actually going to say it?
When we get it right.
Oh, you're never going to get. It's never going to happen.
No,
Okay.
I think we will. I think we're getting close.
I think we got it.
We're
It's eliminating words.
We're at episode 3,
Yeah.
and I think we're already like, okay, you said we haven't gotten a word yet. There's only so many A words that we can lay down there.
Only so many A
And there's
words.
2 A. Think about it.
We get 2 chances every
yeah,
week.
think about
Between the two of us, that's 4 chances every week.
Plus, all the people who are tweeting at us, there might be a couple of good ideas that the listeners put out there.
Let me give an asterisk to the ANMA name.
Okay.
There is no N word.
Wow. Okay.
God damn it.
So
is Ann a word? It's ANMA?
it's complicated.
This is great. Don't give me anything more than that. That's all I want. Nick's like, oh, this is good. If you can just turn down Jeff a little bit, and then also don't be near buses. And I was like, okay.
Instead, we're near an air conditioning unit for an apartment complex that is not going to shut off because it's unseasonably hot for some weird reason.
Based on the noise, though, I'll tell you the reason. Global warming.
What?
Climate change.
I meant like something that really exists.
On the bright side, based on the noise alone, those people are in for a frosty day.
It's true. We're out at Batch, which is like a coffee shop and bakery in East Austin.
Oh, shit, hold on. Good morning, Gus.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning, Eric.
I'm confused about the way that there's like a delineation between areas of Austin. When people say East Austin, they mean east of 35.
Yes.
But that doesn't make any sense to me because this is East Austin. But how is East Austin Central Austin like the?
If you want to get it all, like most things in this country, Eric, it goes back to racism.
Great.
Here we go.
35 I-35 didn't used to always exist as Interstate 35.
Okay.
It used to be called, I believe, Front Street. And Front Street was the street that divided Austin into the white part of town and the minority part of town. So east of Front Street, which is now east of 35, became designated the minority part of town, and only white people could live on the west side. So that's why when they built 35, they demolished that street and they built 35 in its place. That's why it remains to this day East and West Austin, because it was a racist delineation.
Oh, is that the redlining stuff is
Redlining
all based
shit,
on that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I know about that. I didn't know that it used to be. I guess I just never considered it being a different road, right?
Yeah.
Like it was always
It was
just
before the interstates
35,
were
yeah.
built. Yeah, that was the
So-
big delineation. That's why there's kind of a movement in like this I-35 expansion and talking about trying to improve Austin, right? To try to bulldoze 35, maybe bury it, and then bridge
the city.
two parts of the city together.
Yes, they should.
Absolutely
totally.
should.
It doesn't make any sense. So, being from San Diego, downtown is downtown, and then a lot of like the areas around it are like little islands. Well, they used to be like little islands where you would like drive 10 minutes and then you're in like Mission Hills, and then you keep going and you're in Hillcrest, like different pockets and everything. Now everything's all bridged together. Austin feels like, well, there's downtown and then everything else.
This is episode 4 of this podcast. This is the first episode we're doing since the podcast has been released. Like it's coming out now. And there's a very unintended side effect of making this podcast that I've been experiencing lately, which is the people involved in these stories have started texting me with their version and their notes and their corrections, to which I say, get your own podcast.
Yeah. Dude, Gus and I, he's not kidding. Gus and I got a bulleted list of corrections from Bernie after episode 1. To which I can just say, make your own podcast.
Oh, man.
Eric, we were talking about this very first house I had that I bought for $92,000.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you a story you probably have never heard
Okay.
about how I lost that house and then how I got it back.
What?
So when I had that house for 7 years, met a new lady, fell in love, got married, we're going to have a kid. I made the mistake of Googling that house or like looking that house up on the sexual offender registry list. And within like 4 blocks, there were like 8 sexual, offenders, predators. And I went, well, I'm not raising a kid here, so I got to buy a new house. So I went and bought a new house on the east side and moved over there. But I kept that house because I had some of the people in my family had owned multiple properties. Like I had an aunt that she just rented out houses, and that's how she made a living. And I was always kind of attracted to that idea. And I thought, like, that's how I'll accumulate wealth. I'll just buy a new house every few years, and then I'll rent it out.
Good idea, especially in Austin. Looking
Great
back.
idea, especially in Austin. Had I been 5% more capable, probably could have had a great career at it. I sucked very quickly. I couldn't get anybody to rent the first house. I ended up hiring a property manager. Big mistake, hired the wrong property manager. Won't want to get into that, but he fucking sucked. Anyway, he eventually rented a house to a lady. It's cool. And then I would just sometimes get rent, and I'd have to, like, I wouldn't get rent for 2 months, and I'd have to call the property manager, and he'd be like, I'm working on it. It was just a nightmare. So, but in that home, it was like a garden home community that had a pool that they shared, so there were HOA fees. The HOA fees were $200 a year. Every December, I would get a bill for $200, and I would mail it off to them. So when I moved, for whatever reason, the property management company didn't get my forwarding address. Maybe I didn't give it to them. I think I did. Or for whatever reason, it got lost in the mail, but I never got that bill, that $200 bill. And I just didn't think about it because who thinks about a $200 bill they get once a year, right? And I think I sold the house like in April or something. Or I moved in like April or May. So it was.
Just for clarification, you didn't sell the house. You
moved to the new house. Sorry. And so I was going through this process where I was renting it out to this guy. And then I would say that went for like maybe a year and some change. And then I didn't receive any rent for like 3 weeks in a row. And so
3 months in a row.
3 months in a row, sorry. And I went to talk to the property manager, and I'm like, what is going on? He goes, I meant to call you. I went over, and I talked to the lady to say, hey, you need to pay your rent. And she said, oh, I paid it to the new owner. And I go, what's that mean? And she goes, yeah, somebody else, this guy came by, he told me he owns the house now, and so I paid it to him. And so I figured you sold the house. And I was like, when did this happen? And he's like, I talked to her like a month ago. And I'm like, A, you didn't tell me this. I had to find you to find this out. And B, what the fuck are you talking about? He goes, yeah, I thought it was strange. So I had to go see the lady, and I had to get the number of the guy who she told me owned the house. And I had to call this guy, and he was waiting for my call. But I will say this, really nice guy. He was waiting for my call, and he goes, yeah, I've been waiting for you to call. Here's what happened. You didn't pay your homeowners association dues for 2 years in a row. According to Texas law, if all they have to do is they post the notice at the
county, Travis County appraisal
tax
district
assessor's
or something.
office or whatever, tax assessor's office. He goes, they put it on a wall on a board there, and then if it sits there for 6 months and nobody comes in to dispute it, then your house goes up to auction. Whoa. And so I bought your house, and now I own your house. And I go, are you fucking serious? What do I do? And he goes, well, because I'm a good guy, there's this this process called reclamation. You have 6 months to get your house back. I'm required to sell it back to you. Mm-hmm. You just have to pay my legal fees and your legal fees. So then I had to go through a process where I had to hire a lawyer, and I had to buy my house from this guy. It cost me $8,000. I had to sell my car because I didn't have $8,000 on me at the time. So I had to sell a car to get $8,000 to buy my house back, because I didn't pay $400 in HOA dues, and nobody told me. All they did was post a notice at a building I've never seen before.
Right. Like, obviously, they're not going to go through the effort.
What? Right. Yeah. And that is state law. And it's a big deal. It happens to a lot of soldiers
who
go on deployment.
Jeff has a history, or had a history, with this HOA. It's not like just out of nowhere this happened. Didn't you threaten to murder the HOA president?
So yes. So these houses I had were built like in the 80s. And so there was a notice that came through. The HOA sent it out to everybody in the house. Said, hey, look, everybody, your paint looks like shit. Your houses are falling. The siding's falling off your houses. Everybody should consider replacing their siding. Everybody should consider replacing audio texture. Everybody should consider replacing their siding and painting their houses. And I said, you know what? I'll do that. Fuck it. I got a little bit of money. Our RT was just cranking up. I had a little bit of spending money for the first time ever. I wanted to invest in my home. So I got like Hardywood. I remember it was like $10,000 to do my whole house, or $12,000 to do my whole house. And I was very excited about it. And then I was like, well, I want to paint it. It's Austin. I wanted to paint it like a vibrant color. Mm-hmm. Like all the houses you see in Travis Heights and Hyde Park. And so you had to submit your paint colors. And I submitted a bunch of paint colors, and they rejected them. And I submitted a bunch more, and they rejected them. And the third one, they just get more and more boring. I submitted this next batch of like 4 at a time, and they just picked one and said, you can paint your house this color. So I said, are you sure? And they're like, absolutely, we approve. So then I went and I hired a painter, and I got my house painted that color. A month after I got my house painted that color, I got a notice in the mail from the HOA that said, your house color is unacceptable. We're getting complaints. You need to repaint it. And so I walked over to the president of the HOA, who lived 5 houses down, knocked on his door. I will say his name. He opened up his door, and he goes, hey, can I help you? And I go, yeah, I got what's going on with this? And he goes, oh, yeah, we've been getting complaints. And I go, name me one complaint. And he goes, we got a call. A lady drove by. Some person drove by the street and said that the house was so offensive, the color was so offensive, she looked up the HOA and called the complaint.
Wow.
I go, you just made that up.
Uh-huh.
And he goes, no. And I go, you're telling me that my house's green color that you approved is so offensive, a stranger just driving through Austin on a fucking Saturday sees it and goes, I'm going to look up who the HOA is, if there even is one, at this neighborhood to complain. I was like,
as an unbiased third party, I do want to back up Jeff's claim. It was a boring, bland color.
Yeah.
There was nothing offensive about it.
No, it was just a fucking bog standard, like fucking pale green. And I go, so that's a lie. You're fucking lying to me. And he's like, and he gets all stammery. And I go, and plus, like, here's the notice where you told me this was okay. He goes, yeah, we think it's a different shade, so you're going to need to repaint it. And I go, no, I'm not going to repaint it. And he goes, well, you have to. And I said, here, how about this? Step out of your house. Come stand in the front yard with me right now, and I'm going to beat you to death. I'm going to beat you to death right now. I'm going to kill you. And he goes, excuse me? I go, come outside so I can kick the shit out of you. And I am not a violent person. I'm a pacifist.
Not at all.
I abhor violence. It takes somebody, I don't know, making you spend $15,000 to paint a house color to then tell you, to gaslight you about it a month later to make me angry. And he goes, are you serious? And I go, step in your yard right now. I'm gonna take this out on you. And he ran inside, shut his door, locked it, and then I never saw them again. And then the paint color thing never came up again. 6 months later, I moved, and then they got their revenge with the HOA thing later.
That's insane.
Insane.
I loved that truck that I had, that 1964 Chevy. I learned so much. I changed the fuel pump out in the street in front of your house.
Yeah.
Remember that? But like you said, it had no air conditioning. So everywhere I went, I think that year, if I remember right, 1964 was the first year you could buy air conditioning as an option on that truck, and it wasn't like it was built into the vehicle. It was like a portable air conditioner that you installed under the dash and just kind of sat there. Brutal. So everywhere I went, I had to drive with the windows down. Homeless dudes were always trying to get in the back. I don't know if you remember that. Like you'd stop at a stop sign or stop at a red light, and there'd be some dude always trying to get in the back. You'd always have to be screaming at them like, "Get the fuck out of my truck!"
Wait, what do you mean trying to get in the back?
Like they throw their bag in to the
Like, "Hey,
bed
give
of
me
the
a
truck,
ride."
and then like just start climbing
What?
in.
Yeah.
I have no idea why. There's something
What?
about at that time, something about driving a 1960 Chevy pickup in Austin meant any dude at the corner could get in your bed, and you'd have to yell at them and scream at them to get the fuck out of your truck.
I think that's old remnants of older Austin, like the Austin that Gus and I didn't experience.
Yeah. It would be funny if it happened once or twice, but it was any time I stopped that truck and there was a dude standing at the corner, he would try to get in.
So we have some guesses from people on the Twitter because we still don't know the name of the podcast.
The Twitter.
The Twitter on the ANMA Twitter at ANMA Podcast. This is AOI_O_SO says a new morning Austin.
I like that.
How's that, Gus? Is
No,
that
no.
Okay. Not Kapuru says, is it a new mysterious Austin?
I don't think there's much mystery about the new Austin, though, but good guess.
I agree. But so it's not that.
No.
Oh, okay. Jeff, do you have a guess?
I'll throw one more guess out there.
Okay.
How about Austin? No, man. Austin.
Oh, that's a really good one.
One of these days, I should just say yes
Yeah, right.
to like a good one.
Okay, so last time we were at...
That was deleted, and then the hard drive it was on was formatted, and then it was shredded.
Well, that's good. Last time we were at Batch. This time we're at Thunderbird, and this is episode 5. So feel free to take it away.
Have we started?
Yes.
Good morning, Gus.
You got it in for the first time.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I was every time I've been trying to start the podcast to like cut you off to make you forget.
Right.
But you were expecting it this time.
I'll be undeterred.
Everyone had at the time like awards on their websites, like the beautiful whatever website award, and the web rings were a thing.
Oh, it was so obnoxious. You would go to a website and it would be 40% little banners and like tchotchkes at the bottom displaying some bullshit award that nobody had ever heard of that was invented just to give to the probably was invented by the website to give themselves the award to look legitimate because the internet was, we talk about it being the Wild West. It really was. There was no legitimacy to it.
Yeah.
Right?
No, like corporations had. I mean, I guess they had websites where you could maybe look at their stuff,
Sorta.
but yeah, it was very like it was still at the point where George Lucas was suing anybody who put Star Wars images on their website.
Yeah.
It was a very, very different place. So we decided we were going to make a website where we were going to rate other people's websites and tell them how bad they were and send them ugly awards. And then we took it a step further. I still am a real big nerd. I was even more of a big nerd back then. I would petition the American Registry of Internet Numbers to revoke their IP address and be like, because it was like, we're running out of IP addresses. This website is wasting one that another website could be using. And I'd send letters trying to get websites removed from the internet for being too ugly. And then we would post them on our website, on Ugly Internet.
We thought we were doing a public service. And we also thought that it was very clever and very funny and that everyone would be in on the joke.
Right. They weren't.
They were
not at all.
We're trying to get their IP revoked. We thought everyone would be in on it.
Aaron's not
listen.
going to give a fuck. They're not going to revoke.
I'm
any IP
learning
address.
something about and I'm learning that that Gen Xers just had a different view, like a different breed.
Yeah.
and they got time passed us by very quickly.
Yeah.
Over the last few years.
So Ugly Internet, shockingly, was the source of our first death threat.
Yeah.
You may be be astounded to hear. I don't know if we ever figured out who exactly was behind it.
We narrowed it down to the building.
Yeah, but this person said they were going to kill us, sent us photos of where we lived.
Sent me pictures of my truck.
Oh my God.
and said, "I know I can get to you."
Yeah, this is like before Google Maps and stuff like that.
They drove to our street and took pictures of our house. We were living together. Let me tell you a funny story about this guy. I think it's okay to tell this story. His online moniker was Skylock. It was a Star Wars reference, I believe. Really cool dude. He was in California.
I remember the city. I can tell you. I don't know if we want to say it.
Probably not. It's fine.
Okay. He was in California.
I don't know.
I'll
That's
tell you that.
important.
Yeah.
And he became like an online friend that we would talk to every day, and that we developed a great rapport with. And I remember feeling like, wow, this is the power of the internet. Like, here's this dude that we have so many similarities with, this kinship with, and who we've never met, who lives in California. But he had a great story one night where he went out drinking with some friends, and he was in a parking lot, I think of his apartment complex, and he went to pull his keys out of his pocket, and he dropped them on the ground because he was drunk, right? And he went down to pick up his keys, and they fell on a grate, just like a metal grate. And when he picked up his keys and pulled back, he felt a weird pop, and he looked, and his pinky finger was gone.
Like, right out of the knuckle.
He had somehow got it into the grate, and when he jerked up, drunk, not paying attention, he ripped his own pinky finger off.
Yeah. We saw, you sent us
And I
photos.
think he couldn't get it back, could he? Because it went in the grate, or did he get it back?
I think he got most of it back. I think he didn't get the last knuckle.
Yeah.
I think the last knuckle was removed when they reattached the pinky.
Can you imagine? Just bending down to pick something up, and you just suddenly your finger's gone? Ugh. He said he was so drunk it didn't hurt at the time. He was just more shocked than anything.
Yeah.
But
I mean, your body probably just goes, even if you weren't drunk, immediately into shock.
immediately.
I didn't feel shit. Just counting to 9.
You think you'll make it to the end with all your fingers and toes?
I hope so.
Man, me too.
I actually didn't work at the call center at this time.
Okay.
I had left and I worked at that other company downtown, so I had to pay my own way to go to E3 in LA.
Free trip for me.
Yeah. And that was eye-opening. I mean, that was a crazy year because the original Xbox was not out yet. So it was like Microsoft's grand unveiling of the Xbox. This was in May 2001. I think the Xbox came out in November. So it was like 6 months before the Xbox came out.
2 years before Rooster Teeth came out.
Yeah, we got to go and play all the Xbox launch titles. I was drunk on margaritas and I slipped on the convention floor, and I looked down and the thing I had slipped on was a press pass. That had fallen off of someone's lanyard, so I instantly replaced my pass with the press pass. I don't know if you remember this, and got into the press only area at the Microsoft booth, and to try to get shit to write about for drunk gamers, and just try to get content. But what's weird to me is this was the first time that the public got their hands on the video game Halo, and Bungie was there showing it off, and they had a webcam that would take images every now and then and upload it to their website. If you go through that archive, you'll find an image of us standing there playing Halo for the first time.
It was me, you, and Matt, I think, in the photo. Yeah.
Playing Halo for the first time. We were playing, if I remember, at Capture the Flag on Blood Gulch. Just staring at it, in amazement. And it's weird how influential that game became to us later on for, future projects that we haven't even touched on yet. So we spent time down there quite a bit hanging out with this friend of ours at his house, and every now and then, he'd have a house party, invite a bunch of people over. And I remember one time we were down there, Jeff and I. We both were at this party of his.
This guy still is awesome, dude.
Awesome.
Really great guy. One of the best people I've known. Really interesting, fun dude. Really great DM for D&D.
Yes. One of the best DMs I've ever had.
But an anarcho punk. Really politically minded, really big in the anarcho scene back then. To kind of frame that scene and what those parties looked like, and had this huge overgrown backyard with a chain link fence and with a fire pit in the middle of it.
Yeah. We show up to this party and there's a keg of beer, which is shocking because kegs are expensive. And, none of us really has any money.
We were literally flabbergasted to see a keg of beer.
Yeah, we're like, wow, okay, let's go get a beer. We just arrived there. Yeah, so Jeff and I, have a beer. We're sitting there like, this beer, I don't know what this beer is.
It's a little skunky, but it's good.
I would have expected Lone Star maybe, but I don't know, what is this? We're talking about it, trying to figure it out. So then we go ask our friend, hey, what kind of beer is that? What is that keg? He's like, oh, I don't know. Those two people over there, I don't remember their names anymore. These people I'd never met before.
Yeah.
Those two people over there brought the keg. I was like, oh, weird. I've never seen those people before, but okay, we'll go ask them what the keg is. We walk up to these people hey.
You're going to love this.
Good to meet you. I'm Gus, Jeff, whatever, blah, blah. Yeah, we were drinking some of this beer. It's like, what is this? We
don't recognize it.
We can't place it. We can't recognize it. They're like, oh, we don't know. We found it in the empty lot down the street and just brought it up to the party.
What?
He goes, can you believe it? It was just sitting in the woods. A full keg of beer.
What?
Yeah. And we were like, oh, okay.
And we left.
We didn't drink any more of that beer. That was
We
it.
left. We were like, what poison did we just drink? We were convinced for an evening we were going to die, and we went home. But that was that scene. Like, you couldn't be mad at those guys
Yeah, it's like,
because
okay,
that
yeah,
was the
that was-
life they were living. It's
Right.
like, oh, you found beer in the woods and you're drinking without a second thought
Right.
drinking it? Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. How's everybody feel this morning?
I feel good. I feel really good.
You sleep well?
Yeah, well, good enough.
Man.
You didn't?
No, it's 2 nights in a row, the heartburn. I don't ever get heartburn since I quit drinking. And
I thought when you get old that you need very little sleep, so it shouldn't matter.
I mean, I'm functioning okay. It's just like I'm just uncomfortable.
But, so well, that coffee will help.
I think yeah. Well, I'm hoping that'll help with something else.
So
A little stopped up. Good morning, Gus.
what's the name of the coffee shop we're at today?
I got into a fight with you about this.
Yes,
you and Becca.
that's why I'm asking you.
You and Becca years
What,
and years, and years ago.
maybe ask that other dude.
Let's. What would you?
What is the name of this coffee shop?
I think it's epoch, but is it supposed to be like epic?
I call it epoch because
Yeah.
that's how you pronounce the word epoch.
The word you pronounce it is epic.
Well, there's an H, isn't there?
Epic.
I don't know why. Did you
Why
make it-
epoch? What does that have to do with it, whether there's an H
That-
or
you
not?
know what? That's a great.
Long
that's,
E, short
that's a
E.
It's a fantastic point, and I hadn't considered that.
Hold on.
Epic.
Oh,
But I believe the coffee shop is actually epoch.
okay. Then
So
fuck you.
I think I think the
Thank you.
pronunciation of the word is epic, but I think the
then
pronunciation of the word is epoch.
fuck off.
Thank
You're
you.
pronouncing it wrong
lost.
with them.
I lost the ability to say "fuck you"
What?
after I played the definition pronunciation.
And so like we would all get together and go up there and go bowling, have a few beers, whatever. And it was a lot of fun. We did that for a long time until Jeff showed up.
What?
Because then when Jeff got hired, he wanted to hang out, like he had talked about in a previous episode. He was
I wanted to make friends. I want to be friends.
make his way in. So he was like, oh, he drops this bomb on us. He's like, I used to bowl like semi-professionally. And you're like, oh, you should come bowling with us, Jeff. So then the first time Jeff showed up to our bowling night, he showed up with like that glove that professional bowlers wear. He showed up with his own ball and his own shoes.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, shit. And then he fucking destroyed everyone there. And then was like, man, yeah, this sucks. And no one ever went bowling again.
Yeah.
Jeff showed up once to our bowling night and destroyed it. Like a years-long tradition, instantly destroyed by Jeff.
I hate bowling.
What?
I hate it. I hate it so much. You ever been good at something but not as good as you want to be, and it makes you hate that thing? That was me in bowling. And when I decided that it was no longer going to be a part of my life, I left it in the rearview mirror.
Wow.
Very far in the rearview mirror. I only even attempted to bowl because I was so desperate for friends. And then I remember the night. I remember I did terribly to me.
He still destroyed us, right? We're all just like, we just want to hang out and have a few
Only
beers.
through a 225.
No, I was
dog shit.
bowling like 170s or something, and I was just like miserable. And I was like, "Why it's not worth it? Friends aren't worth it." And I was just like, "I can't do this anymore."
He was so dour and upset and mad.
I had zero joy for
and
bowling.
he brought down everyone's night. There were like 10 of us hanging out, and nobody had a good time because Jeff was having a bad
I was
time.
like a mood vampire. I apologize, but that's what that place was like all the time. We have a friend who
I was gonna tell that story.
you tell it. You tell it. I'm
I have
talking
a
too
friend
much.
named Jacob, really nice guy, and
Really nice guy.
yeah, super nice. He was going to a show at the back room one time. He worked at the call center too. That's how we knew him.
He's 18 at this point, by the way.
He's going to a show at the back room, and he goes in, and they're checking his ID at the door. They're going to put the X's on his hands because he's under 21, so he can't drink. And he says that as he's handing over his ID to the bouncer, someone just like sucker punches him.
What?
It was worse than that.
No, you're right. Someone took a beer bottle and shoved it into his mouth, like neck first, into his mouth. He said it chipped one of his molars. He like bent over, obviously because it's like unexpected. He's like spitting out parts of his teeth and beer, and like the bottle falls out of his mouth. He looks up, and the dude who shoved the bottle into his mouth is knocking out the bouncer. The bouncer falls down,
Oh my god.
and the riot starts at that moment.
Yeah. He's just like literally walking in, an 18-year-old kid to go to a punk show, and like opens a door, gets a bottle, gets his front teeth knocked out, his molar cracked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
It was that kind of place. There was a point in time where I think we went to almost every bar on 6th Street. Like we were like, we come down here often enough. It's like, let's try to experience every place just to see what's out here. You don't know. Like you might every day you might walk by your new favorite place and not realize it. So we tried to like hop into every place we could. And it's not, I don't think it's there anymore. There used to be a place down there called the Daiquiri Factory. Which was just like the name implies, like you walk in and it's just like a huge wall of daiquiri machines. You tell them what you want.
Very New Orleans.
Not our scene, but in the spirit of we're going to try every place down here. We went to the Daiquiri Factory once, and I think Jeff and I walked in and we instantly knew like this isn't our place. This isn't us.
And they knew too.
Yeah. And if I remember right, I want to say like they even had like a hostess who met us at the door and like took us to a table. And then, like, a waitress came out to, like, take our order and stuff. And, the waitress came and took our order and walked away. And Jeff and I, like, looked at each other like, yeah, this place isn't for us. And she came back with our drinks. And I don't know what possessed Jeff to say it. But, like, the waitress puts our drinks down. And Jeff looks at her and goes, hey, just so you know, when she sat us down, the hostess was talking shit about you. The waitress put our drinks down, then threw her tray on the ground. Like, and said, that bitch. Made a beeline for the hostess stand. And I was just like, Jeff, we gotta go. We gotta get out of here.
I stumbled into boyfriend drama, is what it was. I remember, like, her boyfriend was a soccer player at the school, wherever they went to school, St. Ed's or something. And there was, like, I stepped in as a joke, and we stepped in hockey or soccer boyfriend drama, and we got the fuck out of there.
Oh, my God. What
Man.
the fuck?
That was the one and only time I ever went to the Daiquiri Factory.
I wanted to get to a couple of guesses for the name.
Oh, okay.
So M. Pizka says ANMA, another time around. The M being in the middle of time.
Oh, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. No.
Another meaningless autobiography.
Guys,
a lot of these guesses have another as the first one. I think that's pretty prevalent. Antidote to my anxiety. That's a good guess. Austin, not my Austin, is a really prevalent guess. So if you think that that's the name of the podcast, you don't have to send that anymore.
Yeah, that's not it. I see that one a lot.
Yeah. An embarrassment to Austin, the M being the second letter in embarrassment.
I like the direction these people are going in.
Mm-hmm. Somebody had tweeted, and Gus actually replied and said, hey, is ANMA's title multilingual? I had made a guess of Austin in Mucho Adventures, so I'm just curious. And Gus said, good question, English only.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I like that. I really like that a lot.
Do you dream in Spanish still?
Sometimes.
Is it like just random?
Yeah, and it's funny how it works. Like sometimes it'll be all in Spanish, but then sometimes I don't know if like when I'm super deep asleep, if the Spanish part of my brain doesn't want to wake up. But like I had a dream the other night that was supposed to be in Spanish, but like this person who's talking to me, it's like, what? No, that's all gibberish. What? Oh, do you want to rate the coffee or anything before we go?
10. I've always liked our coffee here.
Why is that so funny? Eric loves it.
It's like the 6th episode. And it's just a cup of coffee. 10. I know.
It's coffee.
Yeah, it's literally perfect. All right, we'll see you next time.
Coffee's a 10, 6, or 1 to me. How many times in all of the podcasts that you've participated in now, really creating that entire vertical for our company, how many times have you done a podcast and had it get lost?
Oh. Maybe once, if ever.
It's such a thing that you fear that happens so very rarely.
Yeah, we have definitely had podcasts where we start going and then I realize I'm not rolling until about 5 minutes in, then I start rolling. That's happened like 3 or 4 times.
I just had my first podcast just didn't get recorded for Annual Pass, the theme park podcast. I was like, I can't believe I made it 19 and a half years into this industry. Which is predates podcast by about 9 years, and that's the first time it's happened.
We're at Beano this morning, which has a lot more audio texture than our last place.
Okay.
And this is the coffee shop you mentioned last time during your Epoch Facts.
Yeah, this is like the sequel to the last coffee shop conversation.
Yeah, so it's like the sequel to. I'm getting rained on, or am I getting bird shit on me? What the fuck just happened?
There's been
we are underneath a palm tree and this other tree, and they're just dripping. It's just tree drippings.
Yeah, man,
cool.
that's good.
Tree sex. Hope it gets in my coffee.
Did Bernie send you that thing the other day? He goes, he texted me this. He said, "Do you want to feel old? RVB came out before the Star Wars prequels finished filming,
Yeah.
and Lord of the Rings, and the Matrix movies,
Wow.
Yeah.
and
crazy.
YouTube, and Facebook."
When we started Rooster Teeth, my father was 1 year older than I am right now.
Oh my God!
What?
Your dad was. I knew your dad. I guess I still know your dad, but I knew him then too. He was so old. He was such
He
a
was
dad.
1 year older than I am
Your dad
right
had
now.
gray hair back then, I think.
Crazy. That's wild, right?
I guess how does that make you guys feel? Kind of just, it's been so long you've been doing this, and now you're getting to the point where it's just like, yeah, that's how old my parents were.
I made this realization the other day because I was reviewing a video we were going to put out where I'm acting like a jackass, and I was like, my dad was a year older than this. I can't imagine my dad walking around with an iPhone filming this. And that would have been him.
Well, now I got to figure out how old my mom was. Okay,
2003.
in 2003, and I'm born in 1975, and so you add the 5 gets you to 80, and that's 5. And then that's 25, 28. I was 28 in 2003, and my mom was born in 1955, so that makes her 20 years older. That's 48. So she was 1 year older than me.
Oh, you're in the same boat.
Jesus.
It's really scary when you contextualize it that way, huh?
Oh my Lord. That was my Howard Stern math for you there.
Yeah, that was great.
I remember one thing about that Insomnia place. It was one of the most disgusting things. I was standing in line to use the bathroom, and they would always have people come in from outside to use the bathroom and stuff.
24-hour coffee shop? Yeah, of course.
And there was this like kind of heavyset dude in front of me who was about my age, and he was fucked up. I remember he was very, very drunk. And he was just like talking to me, and I was trying not to talk back. And he was just like, "I'm gonna do a sprinkler." And I was like, "Okay, I don't know what that is." And he went into the bathroom, and when he came out, he just gave me a thumbs up. And I walked in, and I guess a sprinkler is when you stand in the middle of the bathroom and you just piss in a circle
my God.
until you run out. And the place was just like at waist high, just covered in like a ring of urine. And I was horrified, and I actually tried to clean some of it up. And then I'm like, why am I cleaning up somebody else's mess? But then I walked outside because there's a line. And
I
I'm
get
like,
you, yeah.
And I was like, I
you.
didn't do that. I swear to God, that wasn't me. It was the other guy. I didn't make it. I tried to clean it up. I don't know. And I just left.
Oh, my
horrified
God.
that people would think that I'd done that.
I hear you. I would do the same. I would not leave. That bathroom would be spotless.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, my God.
You guys are nuts. That's crazy.
I'm neurotic. I don't want people blaming me for that.
I'm not going to touch some stranger's piss.
Well, I used
You wouldn't touch it.
paper
Yeah,
towels
you
and
had a bunch of
stuff.
paper towels.
But it was like, I felt so bad. And then I remember thinking, too, like, somebody's got to clean this up.
Yeah.
Just because somebody wanted to be a dickhead, you know?
You want to do a sprinkler.
Because he wanted to do a sprinkler. But it's something I'd never heard of before or since.
Yeah, I feel like I quickly figured it out, but I'm horrified here to know that someone actually does that. The first time I used the web specifically, I remember it very clearly. I remember my first time using the web. It was 1994. It was the summer. It was probably like June of 94. And I was at what is now Texas State. Was it not? Yeah, it was Southwest Texas University back then. Now it's Texas State down in San Marcos. And I was at a summer camp, and I had been in the VAX lab, which was like a mainframe kind of deal where you set like a little terminal. It's just like a keyboard and a monitor, and it's all text and super nerdy stuff, right? And something you'd see like in a 90s hacker movie. And I'd gone over to a different lab than normal, and they had, computers with web browsers in there. I was like, all right, I'm going to check this web thing out. And like the lab tech showed me how to use like NCSA Mosaic, which was, I guess, the only web browser at the time. And, he loaded it up, showed me, he's like, this is the web. This is going to take over. Everyone's going to be using this. And I was like, okay. So like I was looking for like, I don't know, I was looking for some like research paper. I was doing a project. And I'm like looking it up, and it's taking forever to load, and it's slow, and it's slow. And in my mind, I'm like, it's this slow because of all these stupid pictures. And I asked the lab tech, I'm like, is it always this slow? He goes, oh, yeah, I guess must be a busy time on the internet right now. And I looked him dead in the eye, and I was like, this is dumb. This is never going to take off. People don't want pictures on the internet. This is so stupid. I could be done with this if I was in the VAX lab already. And I stood up, left, and went back to the VAX lab, and I've never been more wrong about anything in my life than I was at that moment, which just speaks to what a fucking insolent little dick I was when I was a teenager. Like, I thought I knew everything. I thought I had the entire world figured out. I was 16 years old, and I thought I was the smartest fucking person in the world. What a dumb little piece of shit I was.
Yeah.
Before we go, it's a couple of guesses for what, what the name stands
for.
for.
Before you read this,
Uh-huh.
if anyone ever actually does guess it, do you want me to actually acknowledge it?
Yes.
Oh, I think if we say it on the show, yeah.
Okay,
But
okay.
like if you read it somewhere, like
No,
you said, you
okay.
saw it and it was close.
But
I don't
if-
need to know that.
But yeah, if you saw, has somebody guessed it?
No. I'm just trying to get ahead of it.
Okay.
Okay. We also rate the coffee.
Oh yeah, this is. It's funny. I'm going to say this. It's a lot like Epoch coffee.
It's the same as Epoch.
100%. Isn't it? So it's a 10?
10 out of 10 for me.
Great. Cool. I told that to someone. We did like the 7th episode and he gave the coffee a 10 and he just went, what the fuck? Edgerman4 on Twitter says, ANMA, another Monday of ANMA.
How does he know we take these on Monday?
I like the idea of having the name of the thing we don't know the name of in the name.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Drew Miller says Ansel motherfucking Adams.
Okay.
Also a good anti-meta Austinites from Chase Potter. A new mediocre attempt from Nerp 83.
Despite the fact that works, no.
Scruffy Jack sent a lot, but I'm just gonna read one. Avenge my Austin. The N being in the middle of avenge.
I like that line of thinking.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting.
Oh, so we thought maybe N was the second letter in the first word, and
I'm not saying
I'm not
saying that
It's
one
like
way
the
or
fifth
another.
letter in the third word.
Do you have a guess, Jeff?
No, not off the top of my head.
Okay, I'm gonna say anybody makes anything.
No.
Well,
How about any more Austinites? Okay, there you go.
Yes, please.
I will.
We're right by the "You're My Butter" half.
Yep.
Mural.
They changed
I
it back
forgot
from
about
butthole.
that. Yeah, "You're My Butthole."
Did it say you to my butthole?
It did for a while. For
Wait,
like,
you
Was it well done?
it was really good.
Yeah, you never saw that?
No.
What? Oh, hang
don't
on.
think I ever did.
I think I have the picture.
It was so
saved.
good.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
You really never saw
was that like?
I can't believe
was
that.
that like done by the artist or
No.
was it came
But I think the artist said that they thought it was really funny.
Yeah,
too.
I think the artist said that they were like fine with it. Jeff, this might be the least flattering. We're not going to share this. I'm not recording this video. That literally might be like the least flattering I've ever seen you. That is rough.
You look
man.
like Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face.
Oh, thank you. That's how I feel.
Wow. All right. Okay, this is episode
Do we
8.
need a clap or anything?
No,
No,
Craig,
because we're not
Craig,
showing this video to anyone.
Yeah, exactly.
No, a master track and the remote
No,
recording.
we got Craig is already
Okay,
getting this stuff, so we're already good. So this is episode
clap.
8. Okay.
So we're having to do this episode remotely because a couple days ago, I ran into someone who turns out they were positive for COVID. I don't feel any symptoms and I'm still testing negative, but out of an abundance of caution, I don't want to get my friends sick and I don't want to get Jeff or Eric sick either. So we thought, let's go ahead and record this episode remotely just to be safe and make sure that, we're doing all the right things here. Like I said, still negative, still fine.
Thank you for the abundance of caution, coworker Gus.
We talked about how like using the internet, our first experiences with the internet, and how I hated the web and I thought it was stupid.
Yeah.
And I retreated back to the Vax Lab, which is like a mainframe system. I used to email a lot of people back then, just because like it was a weird thing to me that you could reach out to people who did stuff, kind of like how people email us or email, contact you, like want to know about Red versus Blue, and like you could reach out to people who make stuff that you enjoy. So I would send I was a bored 15-year-old, and I would email anybody I could think of. And of course, the internet was still new. Not a lot of people had email addresses yet. And I remember in the Vax Lab, if you wanted to email someone at the university, you could just type their email address, but you had to specify what server they were checking their email on.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So it's like if you were emailing me at the Vax Lab, you would email my email address at vaxlabserver.swt.edu because it was Southwest Texas. Like you couldn't just do at SWT. It was like specific to the Vax Lab. Anyway, whenever I wanted to email someone who wasn't at the university, you would have to type like IN %, quotes, and then their email address in quotes to specify to the server that it was an internet email address and that it was leaving the local network and going out to the internet at large. One of the first people I emailed was Bungie, because I had found a bug in Marathon 2, and I wasn't sure if it was me who was messing something up or if it was the game that was messed up. So I emailed like a customer support contact email address at Bungie, and I remember I got a reply from a dude named Matt, and it was like explaining that it was actually a bug in the game that I had found. It wasn't me. And like suggested some workarounds and stuff. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. I'm like a 15-year-old kid. It's like my favorite video game at the time. I emailed the developer. They emailed me back. It's like one of the first emails. It's the first email I remember specifically because it was like such a big deal to me. And then like 25 years later, I was at a meeting here in Austin at a local game developer called Certain Affinity, and a meeting with a bunch of people, and then like some dude named Matt walks in, and he's like, yeah, I used to work at Bungie. I was like, Matt Sowell? He goes, yeah. I was like, you emailed me 25 years ago. Like, I emailed you a bug in Marathon 2, and you replied to it. He's like, oh, yeah, I used to handle the email back then, I guess. Yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm sure you have no memory of it. I was like, but that was such a pivotal moment in my life, like being able to reach out to someone on the internet and get feedback and a reply. I was like, you made me interested. Like, the reason I really got into making stuff on the internet was because you replied to an email I sent when I was 15.
Wow. I remember, I don't know if you guys all remember this, it was one PAX, going to like a kind of like a dive bar, a tiki bar that was it was in Seattle, just kind of like off the beaten path, and just drinking, having so much. Bernie was there, having so much to drink, and there was a bathroom with like no door, and there was just a guy, like, I remember taking a piss and a guy going, hey man, how you doing? And it's like, I'm busy right now, this is bad. But like getting like absolutely hammered with you guys at that place, and I remember going like, oh, I think I really like these guys.
I got sick just listening to you tell that story. Like, I feel bad now. I remember that place. It was, if I remember right, there was an arcade next door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A
It's
pinball
on
thing or something.
Yeah.
It's on 2nd Street. I don't remember
Yeah.
what it's called, but it's on 2nd Street in that little bar area, like their little like 6th Street area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I remember that night. I remember somebody passing out on the table. I can't remember who it was. But I also remember earlier in that night being so mad at Gus because we're sitting at the bar. I wonder if you remember this, Gus. It was just you and I were there. It was early. And we're sitting there at the bar, and Gus goes, he kind of like zones out for a second, and I'm like fucking around on probably my flip phone or whatever, probably on my, what were those phones we used to have, Gus?
Sidekick?
Probably on my Sidekick,
Nice.
typing very slowly. And I registered him like kind of checking out. And then he comes back in and he goes, oh my God, that lady over there? And I go, yeah, I'm just on my Sidekick. And he goes, she just showed her boobs to the whole bar. And I go, what? Really? And he goes, yeah, for a long time too. And I'm like, why are you telling me after, man? Why are you telling me now? And he's like, oh, I guess I didn't think
was
about
preoccupied.
It. He was like, I didn't think about it. And I'm like, for how long? And he was like, oh, it's like 6 or 7 seconds. And I'm like, yeah, but to everybody, he was like, yeah, she was like flashing the whole bar. And I'm like, and you couldn't tell me until after? And then it happened again like 20 minutes later, and he didn't tell me.
What?
I was distracted. I was preoccupied.
It happened twice?
Twice.
Oh, I forgot about that. Years ago, back in, again, same time period, I guess, around 2005, we were making Red versus Blue, and I remember, we were still, really, really small. There were only a couple of us. I think, at this time, we were still in Bernie's spare bedroom making Red versus Blue. We hadn't even moved to the apartment in Buda yet, and I want to say it was around episode 50 or so. It was close to the end of season 3. We were just like, I don't know about everyone else. I wanted to murder you guys. I was just so done with it all. We were all just really stressed out. We had a couple of like long episodes we needed to make, and we were just spending days in that room, not leaving.
Yeah.
During one of my sleep breaks on the couch, I like pulled out my laptop, and I was like, I'm gonna book a fucking trip. I'm leaving. I gotta get away from these assholes. And I was like, I gotta go somewhere that my phone doesn't work. Remember, again, pre-iPhone, and where it'll be impossible to reach me. And I think I had just seen like Lost in Translation. I was like, I'm going to go to Japan. So like I booked myself a trip alone to Tokyo for like a week. I booked it for like a week or two out when we were going to be done with all of this stuff. And I was like, this will be my reward. We're going to be done with this, and I'm going to leave, and I'm not going to get to talk to these fucking assholes for a week. We're walking down the street, and there's these two Russian women walking behind us on the street. Roppongi's like a big touristy area, a lot of foreigners. It'd be like 6th Street in Austin. And we're walking down the street in Roppongi, and there's these two Russian women behind us, speaking to each other. And I'm talking to this dude, and he goes, hold on one second. And we stop in the street. He turns around and in Russian starts like accosting these women. And they both like turn white and pale. And they just like immediately cross the street like away from us as quickly as they can. And I was like, what's that about? He goes, oh, they're talking shit about us. They think I don't know what they're saying. I was like, oh, that's really cool. This guy obviously really knows his languages. And we're walking down the street some more, and we stop at this one building, and he looks at me, he goes, you ever been to a conversation club? And I go, no. I was like, I have no idea what the fuck that even is. He goes, come on, let's go here. And we walk up to this to this elevator. And you know how the buildings in Japan are. It's like multiple businesses in like a tall building. And it's nighttime. It's probably like 11 p.m., midnight. And we walk up to this elevator, and there's like this really big dude standing at the elevator, like blocking you from going to it. Like the guy that I'm there with and the dude at the elevator start talking for a bit. Then like the big dude stands aside, hits the button to call the elevator. It opens up. Then he reaches we walk into the elevator. The big dude reaches into the elevator, pushes like 6 on the elevator. And the doors close and we go up. And I'm like, where are we going? And he's like, I told you, we're going to a conversation club. We get up to the 6th floor and the doors open. And it's like, the doors open to like a nightclub / strip club. It's what is my first impression that I look at. And I'm like, are we going to a strip club? He goes, no. It's not like that at all. We walk in and like this hostess meets us and, she's speaking Japanese and the dude I'm with is speaking Japanese back to her. They're having this like prolonged conversation. And then he turns to her and goes, oh, you're in luck. There's someone here who speaks English tonight. And the hostess like takes us to this little booth. It's like a booth with like curved couch with like it's very cushy. And we go in and we sit down. And then these 2 Japanese women come up. One, sits on the side of the other guy, and then one comes and sits next to me. And the dude like leans over to me. He's like, "You just sit here and talk, and you buy them drinks, and they'll talk to you, and you can just hang out here." I was like, "Okay." And that's why I guess he said, "Oh, that I was in luck that someone spoke English," because like the woman who's next to me was like the only one in the club who could speak English. So like that dude and the other woman are having like this really long conversation in Japanese, and I'm like talking to this woman about whatever, just like making small chit chat. And every now and then she'd be like, "I'm thirsty. Can you buy me a drink?" Like, okay. And like the waitress comes over and you buy an expensive drink and she sits there and just talks to you. We were there for like 45 minutes, an hour. And I was like, okay, cool. Let's leave. That's enough. It was the most bizarre experience one of the most bizarre experiences I've ever had in my life.
So was she like an expert at conversation? Like, was it particularly interesting? Did she have like a range of topics that were fascinating? She
was very like when I think her job is to get you to talk, right? Like
I don't want to talk.
To engage you in conversation.
Who wants to talk?
So like she found out that I was from Texas. So she was like, oh, it's like, so that's what she drilled into, like Western stuff, horses, sheriffs. I remember she was obsessed with sheriffs. Like, what is a sheriff? What do sheriffs do? Like, I guess this must be a question that she has had for a long time. She was like, explain to me what a sheriff is, because it makes no sense. She must have been picturing like Old West sheriff, rounding up a posse, getting on a horse, chasing people down.
Sounds like she should have been buying you drinks.
Is the goal of this place for more than conversation to happen?
I think, no, the goal of the place is just for you to buy expensive drinks for the women.
Then what's the goal of the place?
They just make money. If you're buying them drinks, it's like all the drinks are overpriced. Then
why would you go to this is what I'm asking.
I'm going to make
I don't know.
Wildly uneducated guess that I hope isn't offensive in any way. But I wonder maybe if it's culturally, like maybe it's harder to meet people or to strike up conversations. And so this is like a safe space to do it.
It could be.
I don't know. I've been to Japan. Everybody was really nice and conversational with me, and I didn't feel like I had to pay them. I remember I used to do a thing that I honestly didn't know I did, but it would he would scream at me, which is every time we were making an episode, and for if any RVB fans listening, this happened to every episode of Red vs. Blue you ever watched. If you liked it, this happened. When I was head bobbing, I was mocking all of your lines and all of your performances, and I would just do it to myself without realizing it, and I would just be like, son of a bitch, or I'd be like, you team killing fucktard, or like whatever the fucking stupid, Sarge line was or whatever, and be like, and I just make fun of. I wasn't making fun of the characters. I was specifically making fun of you guys, and I would just do it to myself without even realizing I was doing it. And Bernie'd be like, "Stop! Just fucking stop! Okay? It doesn't help. It doesn't help. It's just annoying. Just knock it off." And I'd be like, "What? Oh, okay. Sorry, man."
Oh God.
Oh, those were the days. And we had to basically ban Jason from production for a while because he couldn't not. We would do. Goddamn, Eric, we would, we're making a movie here, right? So we would set up a scene, and it could sometimes take 20 or 30 minutes, especially if it's like you got to get a fucking tank in a certain position or on top of a base or something stupid, and then you would spend like an hour getting it all ready, and then you would go to record and hit like yell record, and then Jason would throw a grenade. in the middle of it and go, and then everything would, an hour of work would fly away thanks to physics, video game physics, and we'd have to set it all back up again.
God, I forgot about that.
He was the one that I hated the most back then. Yeah.
Oh, man.
I think you hated Bernie and I. Bernie hated me. I hated Jason.
It was the circle of hate, and it just like it was in perfect equilibrium.
And I don't think Jason gave a fuck about any of it. So.
Jeff, any guesses?
Oh, how about a non-moral argument?
Oh,
wow. Oh, I really like that. That's a great guess.
Okay.
That's a good guess, but no.
Oh, thank you.
What? That's not the answer?
I saw, oh man, I got annoyed with you, Gus. I got annoyed with you on Twitter the other day because somebody tweeted ANMA, stands for anime, and you tweeted, I like it.
Yeah, I saw that too, and let me tell you, I don't like it.
I don't like it either. This is not an anime podcast.
It's not an anime.
Like,
this is not it.
The thing I like is not that necessarily they were pronouncing it as anime, but it's kind of that flexible thinking when it comes to the name. That like it's not necessarily a straight thought that you might have while you're awake. Again, it's dream logic. Before we're done here, I do want to comment. Someone somewhere got extraordinarily close to the name. Like,
oh no.
Oh man, it was almost there. It was like, that is almost it. That is like, man.
Wow.
For the name. I guess I should clarify for the ANMA name.
Wow.
It was like, I thought I had to read it twice because I thought they actually typed the name. I was like,
they were that close?
Yeah, they were really close.
So were they like one letter off or something, or?
Do you really want me to say?
Well, I mean, I guess not. Aaron.
Yeah, right. I mean, like, yes, but also no.
No, I guess not. I mean, I guess, yeah. No,
they were close. They were real close.
Wow.
So you heard it here, somebody. You almost got it.
Up until now, I thought it was impossible that anyone would guess it. But the fact that someone finally got that close, like, oh, someone is eventually going to get this. I realize that now.
Wow. It's not the anime one, right?
I'm not saying.
Oh, my God.
This motherfucker.
All right. Well, if you want to take your guesses and follow us on social, you can at ANMA Podcast, ANMA Podcast on Twitter, on Instagram. You guys can see us at RTX. When does this come out? I don't know. Right around RTX, something like that.
This comes out like right before RTX, yeah.
Yeah. We will be recording an episode of this show at RTX. Who knows if it's going to be an actual episode or bonus?
Yeah.
One or the other. We'll find out soon, I suppose. But come to RTX. Find us there. And any parting words for the people?
Stay ANMA.
Safety first.
That doesn't mean anything, by the way.
It means be safe.
No, the ANMA
No,
thing.
that's stay ANMA.
It might mean a lot of stuff. Who knows?